Now, a new Resolve Political Monitor poll found that 41% of voters back nuclear as an energy source, 37% reject it. But then there was around 30% of people who said they didn't have a strong view and would consider the idea. It's those 30% that Dutton is trying to target with his message. Meanwhile, the Daily Telegraph reports exclusive polling that indicates 6 in 10 Australians support nuclear energy. Joining me now to discuss this is the Australian's Environment Editor, Graham Lloyd. Graham, good to see you. Look, do you think there is support, or potentially that the support is trending in the right direction for Peter Dutton when it comes to nuclear energy? I mean, it has already increased from when he started discussing this about 8 months ago.
That's right. Good evening, Sharri. Certainly the polls have been fairly consistent around the world that people are far more likely to consider nuclear power. And if you like, this reflects that people have sort of got over the 70s attitude towards it, which was really bound up in nuclear armament and other things. And they're far more likely to give it a look. 60% is a fairly respectable starting point for Peter Dutton. It's the margin that was there in the referendum, and it really represents a sort of main view, if you like. The challenge, of course, is going to be maintaining that level of support or building on it as the campaign gets bogged down. But I think one of the key lessons from it is that it shows how misguided Labor's initial response with cartoons of three-eyed fish and that sort of thing really was. People are taking a much more grown-up view of the debate than that. I think they see how important it is to get energy right, and they're prepared to consider something that is being used in other places. So it will be fascinating to see how those polls develop.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think people are tuning into the debate and saying, all right, let's have a look at this. If this is what Dutton's proposing, it would be a major change for Australia. So what are the objections to it? And as far as I can see, Labor hasn't articulated any credible objections. They're saying it will be too expensive. But then the opposition today said to Labor, well, how much will your renewable energy policy cost? And there were no answers there either. And Graham, you know, what do you think about this debate that it comes down to over cost, and also Albanese's use of Matt Keane to try win over the public?
Well, there's a lot happening there, isn't there? It's really come down to a fight over the cost of doing things, which really is a bit of a fake argument, because the argument that you want to have is what's going to work best, and what's going to deliver at the best price. Both sides now seem quite confused about what their proposals will actually cost taxpayers. There's no clear line from the government on what it's going to be. In fact, there's no clear explanation on how it's going to work. For many reasons, the opposition isn't able to cost its nuclear program, but in a way the nuclear cost is going to come down to how much it saves on spending on other things. So this is a big forensic debate that has to be had, and the polls are showing people are up to listening to it. We're seeing, I think, with the appointment of Matt Keane today, a bit of political opportunism on the part of the government. I think they thought they could get a sort of change the story of the day with this and sort of try and blindside the opposition. But nobody would be surprised that Matt Keane has these views. I think he's been compromised on day one by standing up and mouthing effectively the government's talking points.